The candlelight flickered softly across the white tablecloth as Alexander Crane sat in the elegant restaurant, trying to focus on the woman across from him rather than on his 6-year-old daughter sitting between them. At 35, Alexander had built Crane Industries into a technology empire worth billions. Yet somehow, he had never mastered the art of the blind date, especially not with his daughter as an unexpected chaperone. His nanny had called in sick at the last minute, and Alexander had no one else to watch Emma. He tried to cancel the date his assistant had arranged, but the woman insisted it was fine to bring his daughter. Alexander had been skeptical, but here they were. The woman across from him was exactly what he'd expected: polished, sophisticated, dressed in designer clothes, and speaking about her career in corporate law with practiced ease. She was attractive and intelligent, checking all the boxes his assistant had promised. But something was missing, something Alexander couldn't quite name. Emma, however, was not impressed. She had been unusually quiet throughout dinner, barely touching her food, watching the woman with that solemn, perceptive look only children possess. And then the merger went through, the woman was saying, which positioned me perfectly for partnership consideration. Of course, billable hours are everything at my level. Alexander nodded politely, though his attention shifted as their server approached with dessert menus. She looked to be in her late 20s, blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her simple uniform somehow elegant. More importantly, she had been kind to Emma all evening, remembering her name, bringing crayons without being asked, checking in with genuine warmth rather than polite tolerance. "Good evening," the server said with a bright smile. "Can I interest anyone in dessert? We have a chocolate lava cake that's absolutely wonderful." Emma's face lit up for the first time all evening. "Can I have that, Daddy? Please?" "Of course, sweetheart," Alexander replied, glancing at the server. "Her Namatag read Clara. One chocolate lava cake for my daughter, and perhaps you could recommend something for the adults?" "The Carmi Brilli is exceptional," Clara said. "Or we have a tart that's not too sweet if you prefer something lighter." His date waved her hand dismissively. "I don't eat dessert. Too many calories." Clara's smile didn't fade, but Alexander saw a flicker of sadness in her eyes, something that made him curious about her story. "Just the lava cake then," Alexander said. "Thank you, Clara." As Clara walked away, Emma tugged on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, she's nice. The pretty waitress lady is really nice." "She is nice," Alexander agreed. "Unlike some people," Emma added, looking pointedly at his date. "Emma," Alexander said, mortified, but Emma wasn't finished. "She didn't even ask my name, and she talked the whole time about boring stuff. The waitress lady asked about my drawings and said I was a good artist." His date looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, I'm not very good with children. I don't have much experience." "That's okay," Emma said with brutal honesty. "You're not very good with grown-ups either. You only talked about yourself." Alexander wanted to disappear under the table. "Emma, that's not polite." But when Clara returned with the lava cake, Emma looked up with wide, hopeful eyes. "Are you married?" she asked. Clara blinked, startled. "I'm sorry, Emma," Alexander said quickly, his face burning. "Why not?" Emma protested. "Aunt Rachel says Daddy needs to find someone nice to marry, and you're nice." Clara's cheeks turned pink, but she smiled. "No, I'm not married." "Do you like kids?" Emma pressed. "I love children," Clara said honestly. "I work at a daycare during the day." "This is my evening job." "2 jobs?" Alexander asked, intrigued despite himself. 3, actually," Clara admitted. "I'm also taking online classes to finish my degree. It keeps me busy, but I'm managing." Alexander felt something shift inside his chest. Here was a woman working 3 jobs, studying, and still finding energy to show kindness to a little girl she had never met. Meanwhile, his date checked her phone. "I should probably go early, meeting tomorrow. It was nice meeting you, Alexander. Perhaps next time." Without the child present, she left without saying goodbye to Emma. Alexander felt relief wash over him. "Good," Emma said simply. "I didn't like her anyway." She turned to Clara, who was clearing plates. "Do you have to work much longer?" "Just another hour," Clara said gently. "Can you sit with us? Just for a minute, please?" Emma, Clara is working, Alexander said. We can't keep her from her job. Actually, it's slow tonight, Clara replied softly. My manager won't mind if I take a short break. If you'd like the company, yes, Emma said, grinning. Sit here where the boring lady was sitting. Clara laughed and slid into the chair. For the first time all evening, Alexander felt himself relax. They talked easily, Clara sharing stories from the daycare that made Emma giggle, asking Alexander about his work with genuine curiosity instead of calculated interest. What are you studying? Alexander asked. Early childhood education, Clara said. I want to be a teacher. It doesn't pay much, but I love kids. They're honest, funny, and they see the world in ways adults forget. Emma watched Clara with adoring eyes. Daddy, can we keep her? Emma, Alexander said again, mortified. Clara just laughed. I'm not a puppy, sweetheart. But you're perfect, Emma insisted. You're nice and pretty. And you like kids and you make Daddy smile. He never smiles with the other ladies. Alexander met Clara's eyes and saw his own surprise mirrored there. I'm so sorry, he said. She's very direct. I like direct, Clara said softly. It's refreshing. She glanced at her watch. I should get back to work. But this was lovely. Thank you for brightening my evening. Wait, Alexander said impulsively. Would you consider having coffee with me? Not as a customer and server, just to people getting to know each other. Clara hesitated. I don't know if that's a good idea. We're from very different worlds. What if we're not as different as you think? Alexander asked gently. What if we both value the same things: kindness, honesty, hard work? What if those similarities matter more than our circumstances? And I'll be there too, Emma added cheerfully. We're a package deal. Clara smiled, tears glimmering in her eyes. Okay, coffee sounds nice. Over the following months, Alexander and Emma became regular fixtures in Clara's life. He helped her finish her degree with a scholarship she could accept without feeling indebted. He visited her daycare, watching her with the children and falling more in love each day. Emma proudly took on the role of matchmaker, always finding little ways to bring them closer. Clara brought joy and laughter back into their lives. She taught Alexander that success measured in dollars meant nothing compared to success measured in moments of connection. She showed Emma that kindness costs nothing but means everything, and she proved to them both that sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with a child's innocent question and the courage to look beyond surface differences. A year after that fateful blind date, Alexander proposed to Clara not in a fancy restaurant, but at the daycare where she worked, surrounded by Emma and 24 children. He offered her a ring that cost more than she made in a year, but what truly made her cry was Emma's handmade card that said simply, "We're keeping you forever." Sometimes, the people we need most come into our lives unexpectedly, serving dessert, showing kindness, and reminding us what love truly looks like. And sometimes, the wisdom of a child is clearer than all our plans, seeing, with pure eyes, what our hearts have been too blind to notice. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to your channel name for more tales of unexpected love, childlike wisdom, and finding happiness in surprising places. Comment below, share a time when a child's honesty changed your perspective, or when you found love where you least expected it. Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs today.